All right, we're gonna spend a little bit of time here just for those. Many of you are you're gonna realize as you go through here, you're gonna realize how many pieces of software are out there to do drafting. We are going to concentrate on Autocad in terms of what you've got to do for mastering the competencies, but we would really be doing you a disservice to not let you know of how many other things are out there, both AutoCAD, Autodesk products, and things like SketchUp, TurboCAD, lots of different engines that are out there. So we're going to show you one of the reasons I'm going to go through in this class, that being Mark Patak, with showing you one particular way in AutoCAD as we've kind of looked at some common interface. And I'm just going to use as an example here the question of how you change the to which group something belongs. In other words, we have something in drafting programs called layers. Now, those of you who are artists used to doing sketching over things, or who've got kids who like to sketch over, you probably will understand the concept of layers more than others. Those of a certain age, we actually remember when you had different mylar, that's a thin film that you would drape one on top of the other to give you the sense of different layers of ink. So the concept of layering is pretty common, and I'm going to show you here both in AutoCAD and then in SketchUp how we go about changing the layer on something. So if you haven't gone through this base process of starting new, how important it is, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go File. Again, I'm working in 09. 10 will not change a lot different here, so I'm going to open. I'm going to make a new file. Forced choice to take the decimal feet file, and I'm going to click out. You'll see later this is actually working in paper. We don't want to work in paper. We want to work in this kind of infinite world. And even though it's a small screen, it's an infinite world. So I'm going to draft right now. One of the first things many of you are going to learn besides drafting a line or an arc is to just draft a rectangle there. So I did left click, left click. Eventually you'll notice that we've talked about, or we'll talk about, how by holding a right click down you're going to have a list of commands. The rectangle command is something that's not going to be put onto this list because it's not something we do all the time. One could add it, however. But I want to point out here right now, when I click on this, I'm using a left click and select the grips. You're going to see we're now moving from adding something to changing something. And so we're going to use this interface of clicking on things and then either doing something with grips, which are those blue things, or by hitting a right click and having a list of things we can do. Very often we're going to be doing something called changing the properties of something, or changing, which group or which tribe or which layer it belongs through this mechanism. So you noticed again I'm left clicking, like hitting an escape bar. I'm deselecting. I'm going to left click on top of the thing, right click, and go down to properties. And you're going to see a big long list here of properties to which are attached to this rectangle, which in fact is not a rectangle. It's something called polyline, of which a rectangle is a subset. But one of the things that is a property of that is something called the layer, and I can go ahead and change that layer from the centerline layer to the object layer. And if you notice there, it gave me an error message, but it did make the switch. And I'll know it made the switch. There's nothing there. You get a little wigged out. We'll look at later how to keep all of our layers on and make sure that they are to start. But I'm going to go here and just change a setting with the layer property manager here. And what I'm going to do is make sure that that object layer is on. Okay. So the ability to freeze different layers and the like in AutoCAD is richer and more intense than it is in most programs, but the idea of having different things on different layers is common to many, many graphic programs. Alright, so let's review again. Let's put it back now. I'm going to hit a left click. I've selected that, and you realize that is one selection set. That's one thing in a selection set. If I hit a left click again, depending on how your things are set up, and I've got two things that are selected, I can now right click either over the top or out in the black space. You'll have to figure out which one you want to do and which one works best. Hit a right click. We can change the properties, and I can change them all back now to maybe hidden. X bar, hit the X here and close it out, and hit an escape key to clear. Using that left hand on the keyboard, keeping that left hand on the keyboard, and you see I've changed into something called a layer type called hidden. Now that's going to let you to change a lot of different properties of things, but what I want you to get a hold of is we're going to tend to do the grab the things, do the right click, and then change the property. And there's going to be other ways to change property, but I want to show you the commonality here to selecting and then right clicking. So I'm going to stop this video and make a companion video. I'm putting these out in HD on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to make a companion video doing a very like thing in SketchUp, and this is a little bit playing around with the interface. I'm capturing this on HD, which is I think 1024 by 720. And what I've shown here is essentially that we're going to grab a selection set and right click. You notice, and that's how we're going to change properties. I hit the escape key, I grab left, right click. I can change, I'm going down to properties here, and that's one way to go about doing that. Thanks for listening, and this will be companionized. I guess the video will be companionized with the SketchUp, where I do a very similar thing in SketchUp. Thanks for listening.